Welcome viewers, Syndrome here with Breaking the Stream Gaming. Today I'm going to be starting up a Let's Play Might and Magic VII. Might and Magic VII is the seventh in a series of 9 games released by 3DO and New World Computing. Might and Magic VII came out in 1999. A 10th game was released by Ubisoft, who had acquired the IP after 3DO and New World Computing went under. But the game isn't linked to the earlier games in the series in any lore capacity, so I just treat that as its own thing. I'm going to be doing a mostly Might party here. I've got 3 melee characters, a knight, a paladin, and a thief, along with the always necessary sorcerer. I'll also be taking the light path in the game, which is going to give us access to the light magic set for the sorcerer. Light magic containing the best, most powerful buffs in the game. Eventually, the paladin will become our healer. He's not going to start off with body magic, but he's what we've got, so we're going to make it work. The thief is going to be focusing on mostly damage skills, also maxing out disarm trap to get us all the loot that we'll need. The knight will be our primary damage dealer, focusing in the spear and sword eventually, along with arms master. The sorcerer will be taking fire magic, air magic, and water magic. Fire magic will be going up to the master skill level. Air and water will both be going up to grandmaster. And after that, basically all of his skill points are going to be dumped into light magic to increase the powerful buffs. Now, Might and Magic VII does have 4 races. Syndrome here is an elf, which gains bonus to intellect and accuracy. But to be perfectly honest, the stats don't really matter that much. By the end of the game, we're going to be at a point with light magic where all the stats are capped out anyway, so the minor variations between the different races really aren't going to affect things that much. So frankly, I took people based on their voices. Syndrome has far and away the worst voice in the game, as you will see as the game progresses, but I'm more of a fan of the others, so I'm going to get started and skip the opening cinematic. So the goal of this first area is we are participating in a scavenger hunt, the reward for victory being title to Castle Harmondale, a derelict castle located between the warring factions of Tularia, which is the Elven Kingdom, and the Human Kingdom of Arathia. I'm currently playing with the Greyface patch. It's an unofficial mod that fixes a lot of the internal game logic and also allows for the game to be played in full screen like this. Without the patch, I would be limited to a screen size of approximately what you're seeing here. It also fixes a few, maybe more than a few, game-breaking bugs, so I highly recommend that if you are going to play, to pick up that patch. So here we find ourselves on the Emerald Island. The first thing I'm going to do is get us a little bit of starting money. So we start off with 200 gold, so let me just go in here and buy a bow, which everybody will need eventually. Alright, that puts us down to 62. Now, when I was allocating my stats in the beginning of the game, I took everybody's luck down to 7. The reason for that is there is a well, which I'll be using in just a minute here, which will allow us to increase 2 players up to 15. So once I get to that well, we're going to do something with it. Now this right here is Mr. Malwick. He's a fairly shady character who offers us a deal. He will give us a wand of fireballs in exchange for doing a favor for certain investors of his. The wand makes this island very easy, and I do want it, but I'm not going to agree to his deal. There are other slightly more treacherous ways of getting that wand. This is the well, so drinking from that is going to increase luck permanently up to 15. Only enough charges in it to get 2 players up, but that's all that we need. so now that we've spent our money so that we're under 100 gold, and we have our luck back up to 15, this well here will give us 1,000 gold. All right. 1,000 gold. So we're going to go over here and buy the bow skill for everybody. Bow is kind of an essential skill that just everybody will have a bow the entire game. There's just no reason not to.
Great.
To not have a bow. 100 gold left. Might as well buy a few guild memberships. Only a few that I actually need right now. Okay, so let's get this started. First, this is the Wizard Eye spell. I will be casting this frequently throughout the game. It lasts for an hour per point of skill in air magic. And at the basic level, it only shows enemies and friendlies as dots on the minimap. So now that I've cast it, you can see the friendly NPCs as green dots over here. Enemies will be shown, of course, as red. One of the primary reasons to increase air magic skill, other than the game-breaking fly spell, is that the higher levels will show additional things. So at the expert level, it will start showing items that are sitting on the ground, and at the master level, it'll show places of interest. So what I've done here is lured some of the dragonflies over to here, and they're going to kill some of the peasants, and I didn't get very many of them, so they might not kill that guard, but there are plenty more dragonflies where those ones came from, so I'm doing this for two reasons. First off, because I don't have any equipment or levels right now, the dragonflies are actually fairly tough. Okay, so they did win in the end. The second reason is I want that wand, but frankly, I don't want to pay for it with obligations. So Mr. Malk here is going to be eaten by a couple of dragonflies momentarily, it looks like. And once he does, I will be looting that wand off his corpse. And you know what? He might have made it away. So nope, there he goes. All right. Now I could go and get all of the peasants killed, but I am trying to play this as the light path, so I guess maybe I'll be a little bit more friendly than that this playthrough. That being said, I am going to lure just a whole swarm of them up the hill to kill a different NPC, just because I need money. I need money, and this is the best way to get it. Now, I am missing out on experience from not killing the dragonflies, but we'll be killing something shortly that will more than make up for that. So if you take a look at the minimap there is a significant swarm coming now. It'll definitely kill those two guards in green. This guard in red, Brent Filiant, he's quite a bit tougher. So he might actually be strong enough to kill all of those. So if that's the case, I'll go and get the rest, and we'll see what happens. Yeah, he's doing just fine against these guys. So now, let me go get the rest of the swarm. Now, in order for this to work, you really need a massive swarm of them, just so that they lose by sheer attrition. Hopefully I don't get knocked out here. Okay, he's actually come to them, so that's kind of perfect for us. So now that all of my characters are unconscious except for one, I'm going to rush to the healer's tent and get some healing.
Do you need healing? Go in peace.
You know, I am going to let these dragonflies make it into town a little bit. There is one more NPC that I would like them to kill. This lady in black over here. This is Alyssa the Bard, and she has an item that we need for the scavenger hunt. Although, I don't know what happens if she dies on the water. NPCs that die in the water don't leave a corpse behind, so that might be bad. Although it looks like the dragonfly actually was killed, so good enough for me. Okay, everybody has a bow now. And I'm going to equip this wand that I found. Now, judging by the massive pile of corpses over there, it looks like Brent did fall in the end. Or he's still fighting. Never mind.
Nah, it's just a scratch.
Okay, now he's dead. Which does leave... I had that wand of fireballs equipped. Okay, didn't mean to do that. Well, at least we're still level 1, so the cost to heal is quite low. Oh, I can't believe I did that. That's funny.
Healing.
Okay, not the end of the world. Okay, now that all of them are dead, I'm going to go and loot and pick up a few of the items that we do need for the scavenger hunt. I might as well show this here. This is a pedestal of Haste. Haste reduces the recovery time between actions by, I think it's a factor of 25 out of 100, which sounds great. The reality of the situation, though, is that it's not worthwhile. When haste wears off, the entire party becomes weakened, and weakness is a terrible condition. It decreases the amount of damage that you inflict, and it makes you slower, and just a host of other negative outcomes there. So I try to avoid the haste spell as much as possible. One of the negatives of that is that there is a buff in the light magic school, which casts pretty much all of the positive buffs you, basically anything that you can see up here. And haste is one of those spells, and it's annoying because basically you have to wait for the duration to wear off, and then you cure weakness, and then you go by your day. Okay, so the pedestal that I just clicked up there is a pedestal of Day of the Gods. What that does is it increases your stats by, in this case, 35. Day of the Gods is a light magic spell, one of the several buffs that we'll be getting from it. So eventually our version will be much more powerful than plus 35 to stats. This here is a game of endurance. There are various versions of these spread throughout each of the zones in the game. Each is a different color representing difficulty. The way these work is if your relevant stat is of a certain point, you click the statue and it gives you skill points. So this one gives 3 skill points. Because of Day of the Gods, everybody is more than sufficiently statted to get the benefit. So I'm going to spend those skill points now. I'm going to put a point into Air Magic, the Sorcerer. Disarm Trap up to 2. On the Paladin, I am going to wait until I get Body Magic and focus on that to begin with. And on the Knight, I'm going to focus on Sword for now. Getting Sword Master is important, actually, for each of the 3 melee characters. So that's going to be my focus from the beginning. Okay, now that I have Day of the Gods, everybody has a bow, and I have fire resistance. Check. I am going to kill a dragon. Now, ordinarily, a level 1 party would not be able to stand up to a dragon, but I'm just not going to get hit by it. It's kind of as simple as that. So, the dragon from a range only has 1 attack. It's a Fire Breath attack, which has no tracking. So, right now he is dealing with the rats. Once that is done, okay, the rats are all dead. because it has no tracking, as long as I keep moving, he is never going to be able to hit me. Now, I have died to this fight many times. Usually, I'll misjudge his altitude and accidentally shoot a fireball into that hill over there. But other than that, it's a pretty straightforward fight. He has about 1,000 hit points, so it'll take a fair amount of time to chew through those, but it's really just an exercise in patience and not getting too aggressive. I have done this without the Wand of Fireball before. It takes a considerable amount of time more, but it is definitely doable. Now, I was hoping that I would find another wand on the ground in this cave. It's not needed, but it definitely does make the process quite a bit quicker. Alright, we're now out of charges on the wand. He's probably about 60-70% of the way done. So this remaining chunk is just going to be dodging and shooting as we can. Now, thankfully, he has that Dragon Breath attack. If he didn't, this would be much harder. But since he is content to stay at range and try and hit us, there's really not much that he'll be able to do. Now, ordinarily, my attacks would have a hard time hitting him, but thankfully, the Day of the Gods pedestal gives us a pretty significant accuracy and damage increase, so I'm shooting him fairly consistently. Also, thankfully, there's no such thing as arrows in this game. Now, one of the reasons that I was fine losing out on the experience from killing the dragonflies is that killing the dragon is a very optional thing to do, and he'll give 2,750 experience, which is far more than we would have gotten from the dragonflies. So I figure that just to speed things along, having them kill themselves against guards is the easier way to do things. Now, there is a feature or bug, depending on how you view things, present in the Might and Magic series. Sometimes when you loot a corpse, it will not disappear, and it will stay present, allowing you to loot it again. So I'm going to be taking advantage of that just a little bit here. Ordinarily, I've played this game so many times that I'll basically fully equip my party just off this dragon. This playthrough, I'm going to get a couple of items off it, but I'm not going to super load up like I would ordinarily do. Primarily, I'm going to go until I get one weapon for each character in the party, and then I'll just proceed on from there. So anything that I get between the start and the end of that, I'll keep. But it'll make the first zone or two a little bit easier, but it won't break things long term. It's gear that I'll probably replace by the end of the game. So the best gear in the game comes from a few different sources. One is, yes, off of dragons like this. You'll always get one or more top tier items or artifacts or relics off a dragon. Titans, I think, have the same quality of loot. I could be wrong about that. And there's an entire dungeon that is filled with both dragons and titans. Another one is the ores, which you can turn into certain NPCs in Arathia. I think that Stalp is the highest tier of armor, followed up by Aridin. So those are kind of the primary ways that you're going to fill out you top gear slots. Enchanting, it will also get you some very good stuff, potentially. I think that some of the enchantments can actually even be better than the drops that you'll get off dragons or from turning an ore. If I recall correctly, certain skills are capped at plus 12 from drops. So anyway, I'm going to save my game here, and I'll show you an example of the looting that I was talking about. So first, I'm going to click. Okay, the corpse disappeared, so nothing that we're going to do. Just going to load the game. Again, corpse disappeared. Again. Okay, so right there, we looted an item, a belt, which does who knows what, and got some gold, and the corpse remained here. So I'm just going to save the game, load it again, load it, loot, and load. And I'll do this until I get one weapon for each person in the party. I'm going to call this video here, just because this potentially could be a long and boring process, but I will pick up right after this with episode 2. Thanks for watching.